All right, everybody. How you doing on this Thursday? It's gonna be I don't know if it's gonna be different. Kind of different because the topic material is a little bit different than what we're normally gonna go over here. But there's a lot that needs to be said and a lot of things that are gonna be speculative. And the reason they're gonna be speculative is because we were not provided exacts from the company that we're going to be talking about today as of yet, and that's Fender. And I'm sure, obviously, at the gear page, there's a huge ongoing thing that's just never going to end. The conversation about this, and with what's going on worldwide, this is just something that I think hits people in this community a little bit more because we're guitar players and we think of Fender and Gibson as the top two. Many people consider Fender to be the better of the two, the best, the most well-known, whatever you want to call it. The long and short of it, in case you don't have any idea what I'm talking about and you just click this video, supposedly, and I say supposedly because we don't have concrete data on this. I do not want to state something that is not 100% true, but there seems to be a lot of evidence pointing to at least a few hundred people were laid off from their jobs without notice at the Corona factory in California, specifically the afternoon shift. And I think part of the reason this it pisses me off more than anything else is because I lived in California for a long time. A long time. I know how much it costs to live in California. I know that times right now are really tough. I get that. And I also understand, like I said, this is not just Fender doing this. There's other companies in other sectors and other people that make necessities. Because at the end of the day here, guitars are not necessities. Whether we'd like to consider them as such, that's a different kind of conversation. But that are having this happen to them as well. And this is nothing new in the corporate world. And when private equity, they're the ones that run these companies. It's not like the 80s when the employees bought out Fender from CBS and got them out of those dark ages of garbage guitars and started making some of the best guitars they ever made. That's not now, and that's not going to happen again because that amount of money is not going to be able to be raised. There's too much involved with IPOs, with the fact that it's an IPO. You have so many investors, so many shareholders, stockholders, all that fun stuff. It's just, we're not going to have that same kind of resurgence with Fender guitars. These people woke up one day being able to support their families, and now even if they get the maximum unemployment of $450 a week in California, no chance. You're not even going to be able to afford your rent in Corona, California, in most places, unless you're grandfathered in or you've lived in the same house forever and you're obviously not paying anywhere near that. But then food, gas, any other stuff, no chance. So with no notice, no anything like that, and being a guitar maker as your profession, that's a little bit different than, being a salesperson, being a bartender, where, churn happens a lot and there are other opportunities and other places that you can pretty quickly go and get rehired for a similar position that you're qualified for. So I wanted to start this off by addressing them and really empathizing with everybody who has lost their job. That's where I want to start. Let's read some comments and then we'll get into this a little bit more. Okay, let me X that out. Get out of here. So, hello. Got Rafa, Marcus, Ian, Rob, Liam. Yeah. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that that podcast. That was a lot of fun. It was like an actual human conversation, wasn't it? That's why I enjoy doing this stuff with you guys. I really do. I look forward to doing more of it. That one got pretty deep. I know that, but we can address that a little bit more. Yeah. So Joe has been mentioning to me that he buys a lot from Fender, and they've been sending him a lot of discount codes recently. And yesterday he got one. You can get 30% off of anything outside of the Fender Custom Shop if you bought it from them directly. That is a sign that things are clearly not going as well as they lead on, which is funny because the CEO of Fender has been on, national television talking about how amazing things are. And in reality here, you consider they had their greatest sales year in history. What, a year and a half ago? 2 years ago? Something like that. And yeah, and right now, it would appear as though, and again, this is all speculation. I'm not speaking any of what I'm about to say as fact. I'm just trying to pragmatically examine this and think of the causes here and think of what's happening. There's a lot of rumors with people stores that have gotten recent shipments, and the quality hasn't been great on a lot of the Fender guitars. And Fender, when you're a dealer with them, this is true. They dictate what you buy, colors, amounts, all that fun stuff, depending on the size of your store and the agreement that you have, and you have to purchase it. So people stuck with inventory that's lesser, you factor that in with just how things are right now, like the high-end market, and I know this from, obviously I sell guitars, and then on top of that, just monitoring the high-end market, that stuff's doing just fine. The low-end stuff is suffering really bad. What is the low-end stuff for Fender? You have your Chinese guitars, you have your Indonesian guitars, and your severely overpriced Mexican guitars. I did not count Fender Japan in this. There's a reason for that. Fender Japan is its own company. We'll get into that later. If you can't sell any of these guitars, okay, from all these foreign ones, and I don't know how much they spend to make these deals with some of these factories, like the Quart factory in Indonesia and some of the Chinese factories. I don't know anything about that. I know Ensenada is its own thing in that sense because that's literally Fender built that themselves. They're not going to other people and having a third party do it for them. But I would think here, logically, if the high-end stuff is the stuff that's moving, that's typically the American stuff, right? You're stuck with all of these lower-end instruments that, they're trying to give them away almost, even though they're still making good profit on them, I would assume. And they can't. So you're sitting on all this inventory. Now, the cause of that inventory is from investing all of that money into the foreign plants, the budget models. Why not, instead of laying off the people on the ground floor in America, why don't you just say, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're not going to renew our thing. If this really is all about the bottom line here, wouldn't it, not only from a humane sense of how you treat your core employees in America, be a better look, but also financially, you're getting rid of inventory that's not selling so that you're not stuck with these guitars that can't move. Because if the higher end stuff is moving and the quality stuff is there, now there are a few things, again, speculative, rumors. I don't like talking about this as though this is a fact. I do not want you to take this as a fact. But the rumors are there's been really bad quality control and a lot of things had to get resent through the American production line. Now, whether that's the spin on it to make it look justifiable to let go this amount of workers that work in that factory, or whether that's the truth, we don't know that. We might not ever know that. All we know is what Fender is going to be willing to tell us. And it's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on you, that we've talked about this before. Fender are currently in more legal trouble in Europe, facing another class action lawsuit after they pled guilty for something they did in 2020 regarding sellers, shops in Europe, and discounts and sales and stuff like that. They violated terms of an act there. They paid a few $1 million in a fine. They don't care. Clearly they don't care. They'll do undermined stuff to make the most of the money. That's corporate America. It's private equity more so than corporate America. Private equity is the problem. So, I don't know, man. All I know is I'm in a tough spot personally, ethically. Now, I'm in a great spot as far as I didn't lose my job. I'm not stupid, and I'm not trying to make this about myself here. But as a sidebar, um, I have the gray cock, the Reverend, and that is going to be what I play out now, like this weekend and foreseeable future. I'm going to play that guitar, and I'll bring the Japanese, the made in Japan Jaguar, as the backup. I'm going to sell the thin line Telecaster, the American one. That's gone. I don't want to support it. The custom shop Telecaster is going to be the real tough one because that's such a great guitar. But again, I don't know. I feel like it's not about music. It's not about like the priority list is so far gone. They're Walmart to me. They're Walmart. I've had my experiences with Fender straight up lying. And then when I caught them on their lies about specifications of a product, it's a limited edition product, that Jaguar, straight up lying about what it came with. Nothing. They still have their bullshit lie on their website about what that car comes equipped with pickups. It's bullshit. They don't care. Here's a little credit. That's it. We're not going to address the problem. Here's a credit. It just says a lot about the mentality of the company and where it's headed and where it's landed. So I don't want to be a part of that. And it hurts because Fender are my favorite brand historically. So I have more Fenders than any other guitars. So I don't want to support that stuff, man. And it's tough when it's tough because there's so many things in life you want to take, the high ground on, but there's some things that are unavoidable. Like I have a MacBook that's made where it is. An interface that's made where it is. All that fun stuff. You can only do so much, but if you can do something and it's not mandatory, like I don't have to play an American Fender. Why? Why would I? Let's catch up. Okay. Sucks for everyone involved, especially coming out of blue like that. Yeah, I mean, you got kids? You go to work? You think you have a solid job? You're working for a company you really like, you're doing something you really love? You're gone? Even if you get unemployment, it's nowhere near the same wages? And you're supposed to just be like, oh, I'll figure it out. In California, of all places, too? Yeah, good luck. It's terrible. Any news on the Noel Gallagher? No, I don't give a shit about the Noel Gallagher. You're the one buying that. I'm not buying a $10,000 guitar. Don't forget about Fender accessories. Dealers are forced to buy a certain amount to carry the line. Yes, it's everything. It's the whole line of Fender products, Marcus. And that extends further than just Fender branded stuff. You guys forget, well, not you guys, but people do forget how many companies Fender owns. Or how many companies they have the majority stakeholder in. And, they just recently were just going through to buy Personas. Pro Audio / Interface Budget Line Company. A lot of things here. I feel awful for the employees. Their hard work not been appreciated, to say the least. Yeah, that's another horrible part about this, dude. These people just worked their asses off. Yeah, how many overtime shifts there was? I know people that work in that Corona factory. That was an hour and a half away from me. I've been there before. I can only imagine what they did to try and keep up with the demand and during how strict the laws were about working and all the protocol that needed to be met. They still did it. They still showed up to work. They did a great job. They had the best selling year ever. And part of it, a large part of it, was because those people did their jobs and did them at a great level enough to satisfy customers, to satisfy demand, and to satisfy their bosses and the numbers that they wanted them to hit in order to achieve sales goals and exceed them by a lot. And this is the thank you that they get. This is the thank you they get. Do we know when there will be an efficient layoffs are confirmed? It's about the amount of layoffs that are not confirmed. Do we know an official statement from Fender? No, I expect it. If we do get one, it'll be some PR bullshit. Honestly, I doubt it'll get really into specifics of it. We regret to inform, COVID this, supply chain that. There'll be every excuse under the book. As far as the actual nit and gritty, the important parts, I'm not sure what we'll get or when we'll get it. But I would assume, because this is starting to cause a lot of buzz, hopefully sooner than later we get something. But I would be very open to hearing their explanation and their side of the story. Because somewhere between the extreme, and this is universal for anything. This isn't just with guitars, dudes. Like, somewhere between the extreme, like this is the worst case scenario, and somewhere between the corporate spin is the truth. You know what I mean? So we have to wait. That was what companies were saying. To add a second shift, they may have to lay people off when it gets quieter. But I mean, it's tough, dude. That's the tough part of it. And it comes back to my initial point and my initial solution. If things are that bad, and the inventory you can't move is this cheap shit that's made overseas, cut that out. Just cut it out. Keep your heart and soul. Your heart and soul is Fender USA. The company is built in the USA. I don't mean to make this all patriotic, but just from a simple like sales standpoint, from a company standpoint, if this was still owned by people who gave a shit about the brand, which it's not because it's owned by private equity, you're going to hear that. You're going to hear that a lot today. If that was still the case, then that would be the priority, but it's not. You would cut off all those other contracts, at least one or two of them. If you can't move those instruments and you're moving the American instruments at a far higher success rate and making, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So you slap these people like in the mouth for this. Yet there's other ways this could have been handled. But again, we don't know everything until they tell us whatever they're going to tell us. That's it. If it was temporary contracts, I could at least understand. They were not. That I can speak on. And one of the people that was let go is somebody I know that has been there for quite some time. Not a temporary worker. Worked the afternoon shift. They have contracts with the overseas factories that they can't cancel. Fender made plenty of money and chose to give that money to their investors instead. Well, that's the other part of it, and that's the other part of private equity. You make all that money in this big boom. You have your best year of all time. You could either invest it back into the company, pocket the money yourselves, the CEOs, and to the investors and stockholders, or you could, thank your employees. And at the very least, thank them by ensuring that they still have a job. That's a pretty good thank you. Might seem really, oh, that's it? I just get to keep my job? I mean, right now, you talk to some of these people who suddenly lost their job, they'd take that. They would take that. California is not an easy place to live right now. What happened with the pickups? They lied. They said that the pickups that came in the anniversary Jaguar, the 60th anniversary Jaguar, were specially voiced, special edition 60th anniversary pickups. I got that guitar. I took it apart. They were production pure vintage 65 pickups. Now, this isn't, that's not a big deal to an extent because those are decent sounding pickups. But they went out of their lie to lie about that and say that they were made just for that model. When I called Fender, and I was just like, no, that's not what these are. These are not special pickups. Why did you lie about that? Like, that's such a silly thing to lie about, to make it seem like it's more exclusive than it really is. And then the woman initially, she didn't know shit about Jaguars, was trying to be like, no, these are not the same as the American originals. And I'm like, I'm not saying they are the American originals. I'm saying they're the ones that came in the 65 Jaguars that you still sell as of right now and have sold for almost a decade as standalone pickups for $130. That's what these are. Gave her the part number. She checked it, double checked. They called me back and they said, yeah, that's what they are. So why lie about it? Why did you write that it's something more exclusive than it is? That pissed me off. And then I was just like, well, I'm like, look, I don't want money from you. Just change it. Don't lie to the customer. Just change it on your website. Say, comes with pure vintage 65 pickups. Never did it. If you go to their info site right now, I bet the farm still says specially voiced, limited edition, traditional 60th anniversary pickups, whatever the hell bullshit they use to describe them. They don't care. Martin added a second shift, and now I see a lot of inventory, maybe lots of companies. Well, a lot of companies are going to do this. Again, this is more than just guitars. This is going to happen for a lot of industry, man. But the problem is we need to produce things in this country. This country needs production. This is a whole nother can of worms, but we need to make more things. Not make less things. Not cut down the generating of product. Yep. Run by accountants, my friend. Bean counters. Yep. Interest rates go up, demand goes down, and they probably hire during their peak and are now cherry picking their better employees. Yeah, and I mean, look at the prices of Fender Mexico and the quality that you're getting associated with it. I feel so bad because I'm sure that they're great human beings. And who knows the stress they go under there, right? Who knows the actual stress and the actual quotas of guitars that they have to get out in the day? They might not have time to make sure that these guitars are even decent out of the box. That's why you see so many people with neck, fret issues, electronics issues on these exorbitantly overpriced Mexican guitars. You don't deal with that with Fender Japan because they're run differently. Two different companies. Fire whoever overloaded the Squire order. Start there. Well, I mean, they got greedy, man. Lord knows. I wish we could see the sales breakdown per model, per factory of each annual year from Fender. Like, if you could see how many classic Vibe Strats were sold in the boom, classic Vibe Tellies, Affinities, Mexican Players or Standards. They're called Players now. They used to be just the Mexican Standard Strats. Stuff like that. I'd love to see the breakdown of that. I'd find that very interesting just from a data perspective and an analytical perspective of making decisions going forward as a corporation that is, they're looking out for the bottom dollar here. I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. You know that. This is all about money at the end of the day. Just makes me sad, man. Makes me really sad. And more like the thing I'm most mad at is just I feel so bad for those people because I know how hard that's going to be. And I can't imagine that. I have a kid. If all my income just disappeared, if there was just no more income coming into this household on like a boom, done. Notice? I don't know how I'd react. I don't know what I would do. You get desperate. There's no easy way out of that, especially in such a specialized field. What it currently says, 60th anniversary single coil pickups. These specially voiced pickups are crafted to capture the articulate mid-60s tone that made Fender Instruments famous. Yeah, it's still bullshit is what it is. It's bullshit, false advertising from Fender. That's what that is. Am I wrong? No. Those pickups went into production in 2012. Came factory standard equipment on the pure vintage, American vintage 65 Jaguars. That's specially voiced for shit. Get the fuck out of here. Sorry, I said a bad word. But this is the crap that I deal with. And then when we bought the Paranormal Cabronita, this is a good example of the quality of craftsmanship coming out of Fender China. When you buy a Fender licensed neck, there's a little certificate that comes with it. It says, we can only guarantee this neck is going to fit on Fender and Squire licensed products. Wasn't even remotely close, that American original 50s neck, Telecaster neck, to fitting into that Cabronita body. Because it wasn't cut right. Because it wasn't cut to the correct Fender spec. Meanwhile, a $70 Guitar Fetish Chinese body fit it like a glove. When I called Fender about that, they were like, the one guy I talked to, well, I don't think works there anymore because I've tried to contact him since. He doesn't exist. I just get these two ladies on the phone whenever I call Fender now. And he's just like, yeah, that shouldn't say that. He's like, I know that they're not all gonna fit. He's like, we should definitely change that. And I was like, thank you. Like, that's all. Like, that's all. Like, I'm not like, I don't want free crap from you guys. Like, I just want you to not set false expectations for your customers. Seems pretty basic to me. But it is what it is. Never change the description of the Gretsch base pickups either, but if you call them and complain, they'll give you $100 credit. Well, that's the thing with that's private equity. I'm going to keep saying it until it's battered in your head that Fender is just a private equity firm. That's what they'll do. They will throw money at a problem, at an individual person, rather than just address it and fix it like they do in Japan when they have issues like this. They will just throw a few bucks at you. Hey, here you go. We're sorry about that. We're sorry we lied to you, and we know we're going to keep lying to other people, but since you caught it, we'll give you $100. We'll give you $100. My wife and I have been through it. It's not fun. No, it's not, and it's devastating. And it scales so much. It's bad enough if you're just a single dude or a single lady that works for a company and you unexpectedly get laid off in such a specialized field. That's already hard as it is. You're the main source of income for your family. You got kids. Gets thrown on you after you just busted your ass. Who knows how many overtime shifts you worked? You've been with that company. Some of these people, who knows how long they've been with that company? And it's not just workers. There's VPs apparently. There's some other people outside of the production line that were also fired. Who knows? We won't know until Fender wants to tell us whatever they want to tell us. These people can't provide for their families now. No severance pay on top of that. I don't think we mentioned that yet. No severance. Good luck. File for unemployment. And it's not like California's unemployment office works at a very rapid pace. They're overwhelmed as it is. Even in normal times, California's unemployment office was not exactly quick to get things sorted so that you'll start getting your money. Sure hope they have savings. I don't know, man. I'm pissed. I'm really pissed. And maybe the right answer isn't to rush out and sell every Fender guitar I have. Well, first of all, we're not selling any of the Japanese ones. That's for sure. The JV is the best Strat I've ever played. And, I'll keep the Jag, the green Jag, the Sherwood green. But the only American Fender that I can never sell, because I'd get killed, would be the gold Jazzmaster. But I don't mind that because, first of all, the other layer of this, if you've been watching the stream and you see how passionate I am about this, right? And you see that I'm clearly mad and I don't like Fender as a company right now. I really don't. I've been trying to be a lot more conscious about companies that I make YouTube videos, guys. If I'm demoing any product, it's not just the product that's being demoed that is basically a sales pitch for, whether I intended to be or not intended to be. I do a Ruby demo of the Universal Audio pedal. I use a Telecaster for that. I'm doing an advertisement, whether I mean to or not, for a Fender Custom Shop Telecaster. You see me holding these guitars. That's what they are. It's just, that's all it is. You see. You like how it sounds? Oh, I'd like one of those too. This is just marketing 101. I'm not paid to do that, and I've accepted that. However, I do have the power and the control to decide what companies I want to use for all of these things. And at the end of the day here, the reason I say specifically the Jazzmaster I'm okay with, when do I ever use that guitar? I don't like that guitar. That guitar stays around because of my wife. I don't like it. I almost never pick the thing up. Not a fan. So I don't mind keeping that one. So that's the only untouchable American Fender I have. The Custom Shop Telecaster, we'll have to see where that goes. But I don't know. Because that's the best guitar I have. And that's the guitar that I would probably use the most on this channel. I think I have since I've had it. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Social media personnel doesn't help either. Why have an advertising department and pay health insurance and benefits when people will advertise and endorse product for free and without benefits? Yeah, that's idiots like me. I'm the ultimate schmuck. I'm gonna make a video about this. You guys are getting a sneak preview. I am the ultimate idiot. And anybody who does gear demos, really, you are an unpaid salesperson. Even if you're excited about something. Like, you just bought a new guitar from ESP. We'll say ESP. You bought an ESP guitar. You love it. It's amazing. You've never made a YouTube video. You work your ass off because you want everybody else to see and feel the way that you feel about this guitar, so somebody else could get that feeling. You know what I mean? Make a great video. Maybe that video blows up, maybe it doesn't. That's irrelevant. The point is, on the internet now, there is somebody beaming with that real joy, that real pride in something. And that is the best marketing sales pitch ever. That is so much better than sending a guitar to a big YouTuber and having that big YouTuber read bullet points. Give one away, maybe. Say how great this is. This is amazing. Look, I did sales for decades. Yeah, seriously. I get it. But that priceless one that you didn't spend any money on does so much more to the average person because it's real. And I fall into that position too. Nobody sends me free shit. Nobody. The only people who've sent me free things are Phoenix Pro. God bless them. I love them. I use that mixer whenever I go play. That is a backbone to my live rig. And you know what? I'm going to make another video about that thing. And then I use the, and Phoenix Pro sent me a wireless guitar system that I sometimes use when I play live, depending on the venue, if it's got decent electrical setup to it, because sometimes it doesn't matter what wireless system you use, it could be a nightmare with the RA or RF interferences. So, but no, I don't get sent shit. Companies aren't lining up to send me free gear. So if I can sit here and willingly pick the brands and not support brands that do shit like what Fender just did, maybe I should do that. Well, I know there are unicorn haters out there, but if they had one at least, they'd have seniority for layoffs. Or I read that as unicorn. You said union. And you're right. I agree. I would like to know the ratio of Americans versus import guitars being sold. I bet it's 60-40. I would bet it's more like 80-20. Well, no, I would say being produced 80-20, being sold maybe 60-40. I think that would be more accurate. But again, speculation. This is all just guesswork, guys. All those free guitars they give out could pay people salaries too. They give tons of shit away, advertising or not. They used to send loaners around for demos. Steve, wasn't the Made in America quality supposed to be good? When did that change? When they were overstressed. And that's not to mention some of the speculative OSHA stuff that's been accused and spoken about. Again, I hate putting a disclaimer on everything I say, but I have to do it because I do not want to sit here and speak about something as a matter of fact that I cannot confirm as a matter of fact. But there's been many rumblings that there have been some certain violations about the work code in the American factory. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But where there's smoke, oftentimes there's fire. Part of the reason that the American quality goes down is because they're expected to keep making more and more and more in less time. If sales are booming and you're in charge and your main goal is to just maximize profits, wouldn't you just do that too? If that's your own thing. If literally your only goal here is to get as much money as you can. The American guitars sell for a decent amount. I don't know the profit margins difference versus American versus China versus Indonesian versus Mexican. That's neither here nor there. But if the idea is if I make more, they will sell, having the workers make more makes sense, and rushing them is what it is. It's a side consequence of it. And there's a guy mowing the lawn behind me. And if you can hear that, I apologize for that. But it's hard for the workers. if you don't get to spend as much time with an instrument to finish it, to really make sure the frets are good, to double check the electronics. I got in 2019 a brand new Cabronita, American made with the TV Jones. Wasn't even soldered. The electronics weren't even finished being soldered on it. It's a $2,000 guitar new. I don't know, man. I don't know. The good news is that now more people will try some Japanese Fenders. That's what I'm playing. I will happily play that Sherwood Green Fender Jag. And I'll happily play my JV Strat. And I'll tell you this. It'll take a lot for me to sell that custom shop telly. I'm not going to do it on a snap judgment here. It's going to take a real proper replacement and a real... I want to see what Fender says, but the thin line's gone. Because that guitar was bought to play with. I'll play with the Greg Koch. Thin line's gone. If you want it, I'll give you a good deal on it. I'm going to sell that as soon as this, or list it as soon as this stream ends. I want to just tell people, like, there's a difference between Fender Japan and Fender USA as far as the companies go. Because there is. They're not the same company. A lot of Fender's current designs don't make sense. Who wants a non-traditional Mustang or Jag from America on color choices that are bland until you get to the mod shop? Exactly. And look, there's nothing wrong with having an ultra version of a Jazzmaster. Nothing wrong with the professional version of a Jazzmaster. I kind of like the setup on the Hybrid too, which is inherently the same thing. But, you know, the Mexican ones... Excuse me. Got a little sick again. Definitely not helping my mood. But, you know, Jaguars with single coil humbucker, Jazzmasters with dual humbuckers and a Tune-o-matic bridge. What are you doing? In funky colors? Oh, the Mexican ones? They've been shit for a while. Quite frankly. That's not to say they all are. They're really hit or miss, though. I've played some Mexican guitars that are worse than the majority of Harley-Benz that I've played that were 10 times the price. But I've also played some Mexican guitars that were outstanding. Recently, the majority of the Mexican guitars that I pick up are mediocre at best. Certainly not worth $1,000 or more. No way. So, again, I don't even fault that to the workers. I fault it to just the demands of the people in charge, the accountants, and the private equity. Happy employees make for the best businesses? Yes. That's why Paul Reed Smith does so well. And Paul Reed Smith actually, you know, interacts with his employees. They have jam nights. They have community things together. They actually care about each other. And it's not just words on a screen or making a stupid social media post about being for X cause. We stand with you. We do this. We do that. Actions speak a lot louder than words. And bullshit social media gesturing and posturing. That's what Fender's become now. Good example of that. And how you can tell that they're really all about the money. Now, I don't want to get into the specifics of this or what your opinions are on this because that's not the point of what I'm about to tell you, okay? Pride Month is a big month for a lot of people, for a lot of businesses. Some businesses use Pride Month to be able to make themselves look good and do it in a genuine way. Even Guitar Center, during this last Pride Month, they bonded with a bunch of companies, including Paul Reed Smith, who donated a $11,000 guitar straight up to auction off, and they were going to donate 100% of the proceeds, and then Guitar Center matched it. If you're going to do something for a cause, that's the best way to do it, right? Because that says, look, we're not going to take anything from this. We're not going to take anything from this cause. We're doing this. We're letting you know we're doing it because, yes, it is good PR. But at the end of the day, they're not keeping any of the money. What does Fender do? Fender makes the rainbow gear, the rainbow t-shirts, the rainbow hats, whatever the hell rainbow they wanted to make. 15% of the proceeds went to the same charity. So they pocketed 85%. It's all about the money. If you follow the money and where the money is going, it's obvious who has decent intentions and who has garbage intentions. Just throwing that out there. There are so many great smaller companies that make better guitars than the large U.S. companies. Better quality parts caster. Yep. Well, man, I'm struggling to make it through this. I'm sick. A Telecaster I really wanted, and that I would absolutely, I'd get rid of the custom shop if I could find one for sale right now. And if any of you can find it, send me an email, info@audiomomusic. Although I look at a lot of places online, specifically in Japan, where I'm going to find this. And I if I'm not able to find it right now, it's going to be tough for one of you guys. But if you could, just send me an email. It's the Cherry Blossom Momose Telecaster. Fukuyaki, something like that. But it's based off the sakura trees that grow in the Nagano prefecture, and it's the most beautiful Telecaster I've ever seen, and it's built to such a good standard. I'd trade my custom shop for it right now. But the problem is, I think they make 10 a year. 10 total. So you know each one's going to be damn good, but once they're gone, they're gone. I'd happily take one of those. Yeah. Have I ever tried a Sire S7? No, the only Sire I've played was the H7. When I go for off-brands, I try to do body styles that are not Strats or Tellys for the most part. That's just how I am. I like looking at how they tackle other instruments. And part of the reason for that is because I do have a world beater Strat and a world beater Telly. And it's really hard for me to remove my bias of how good those are to judge other guitars of a similar body style. Whereas with a guitar like a 335, I don't have a top tier one. Although I have a great one. The 77 is a great one. I don't have a top tier one that really you can have the same argument for. You know what I mean? That's hard to do. It is hard to do, but that's what I want. I honestly, if I found one for sale right now, I'd buy it, and the custom shop would be up for sale. Those were expertly crafted Telecasters. Those Momoses. Especially that limited edition Sakura Cherry Blossom one. It's art, man. That's a piece of art. But it's not a piece of art in the same way that the PRS is. Because one thing I still don't like about the PRS. The PRS, I still don't let loose on that guitar. I look at it like a fragile instrument. It's not. But I'm so worried about the finish. I'm worried about my pick dinging it. You guys see, I play a lot of funk. I get pretty aggressive when I'm really having fun and really vibing on a song. I don't play that guitar the same way I play some other guitars. I wouldn't have that problem with the Momose. I think a pick guard helps too. I don't know. Yeah, last time you mentioned them, I looked them up, and there's a lovely 335 style guitar. Sago, yeah. Sago's good too. Saito, Sago, Momose, all the Divisor family of products. There's a lot of really good brands out there, man. Van Zandt. Great guitars. So many great guitar makers that are all really small companies that would never have this happen. What if the Fender Costume Shop got moved overseas? Would you pay $4,000 for that instrument? Well, I didn't pay $4,000 for any Fender Custom Shop. So, no. Play the PRS with the lights off. You won't be distracted by the finish. Well, it's not about being distracted. It's about I turn the lights on, and all of a sudden I have 8,000 pick marks in the stupid thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with that thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Such a high maintenance guitar. It's incredible, man. Or maybe I just need to just say screw it. Own it. Own it. Play the hell out of it. Ding it up. Damage it. And then when it becomes unrecognizable and turns raspberry, I bring it in for a proper refinish. Straight up purple metallic nitro spray. It'll never fade. Who cares? Use some tongue oil as finish. Yeah. Who knows? We'll figure it out. Ah, man, guys. Man. I'm sorry. I want to say I'm sorry. I didn't want to come on here angry. I hope that I came off as objective as possible. And the reason I'm so I feel like a father. I am a father, but I mean, in the way that I'm about to talk about Fender, I feel like a father that's just disappointed in their son because they're a screw up. I know what they're capable of. I have guitars from some of their best years when they rebirthed that company. They can make great things. They can do things the right way. They're choosing not to, from what we see. And it's hurting innocent people. And I can't get on board with that, man. This is private equity. See how many times I can throw that in. I don't know. It just sucks. Just really sucks. So, in case you were wondering here, before I wrap this up, I do have a bunch of guitars for sale because I was talking to Ian about this. This is the thing I'm going to, I'll end this on. It's a totally different kind of topic. Similar, but different. I had decided when I made that video, what was it, like 2 weeks ago? I did my recording recap. And I was like, yeah, like, it's nice to have a bunch of guitars, but I found myself only using like a few of them. And I was like, you know what? I'm really going to consolidate. And this was the decision that I had made then and that day, like 2 weeks ago. So I just started listing up guitars. And I've listed up more, and more are going to get listed today now. So I did pick up a 1987 Les Paul Standard in ebony. Great neck on that guitar. I'll have to see if I can have time to film a demo on it before it sells. I'm amazed at how much interest that guitar has. The Wildwood Les Paul's gone. I don't need 3 Les Pauls. I love the Goddess the most out of the 3, and the Goddess has the most potential to raise in value over time just due to the scarcity of it. So not only is it my favorite of the 3, but it's the one with the highest upside to it. So that one's getting kept. The Thinline Telecaster, that's going to get listed after this. The Made in Japan Jazzmaster in gunmetal blue, I will sell that for $1,100 flat if any of you want that, if you buy it on the website. Yeah, I'm really just cutting stuff out. And then the Mesa Boogie, I think I'm going to sell too. Not because I don't like it, just because I don't need it. Like, it's not a tone that I need. I like it. I like it a lot, but I don't need it, and it's not like a core tone of mine. I was so happy with how the Dirt sounded with the Reverend, with the Benson, and the Drive Master in front of the Music Man. I was like, that's as heavy as I get. A little bit heavier, in fact, and I thought it sounded awesome. So what do I need a $2,000 amp for just for overdrives? I don't know, man. Gear collecting is fun, and there are uses for all this stuff. You can use it. I do use it. But sometimes it's good to keep things around. I'm keeping the Class 5. Don't you worry, Liam. Class 5 ain't going anywhere. I gig with that amp. Believe that. Guy who plays primarily like 95% clean tones. I gig with a Class 5. Yeah. The fact that it's a loud 5-watt amp, that's awesome. I use it as my my stage monitor, so I have stage volume, and then I run the Ruby, and maybe a different universal audio pedal too in the future. That's sitting behind me. Maybe we'll run those two together to the front of the house. We'll see. I wish I could get the Jazz Master, but I promised my wife one more guitars. My wife was in shock when I was just like, I'm selling this, I'm selling that, this guitar's going, that guitar's going. She's like, well, what are you gonna buy? She thinks I'm doing it to buy something else. I'm like, no, that's not why we're doing this. So, yeah, if I could find the Momose, the Sakura Telecaster, one of those, or really, this is gonna be tough. A real JV Telecaster, a real one that's not in 3-tone sunburst. I cannot do 3-tone sunburst. And then I'd have a matching JV Strat from 1982 and a JV Tele. Real Japan vintage, the best of the best that Fender Japan ever made. I'd get rid of the custom shop for that one as well. Other than that, we'll see. We'll see. That's the only one I'm gonna hold pause on. But the rest, they're all getting listed. I'm done with it. I'm over it, boys. I'm over it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Thank you for listening to my rant here. Just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I try to have some morals and I try to be fair. But I feel for every single one of those people that just lost their job. And I also, again, I know it's not just people in the guitar world. I know it's everywhere. It's tough times ahead. Tough times are ahead. So maybe I don't need 8 guitars, 9 guitars, 10 guitars. I don't even know how many are in the room right now. But maybe 4 or 5. Maybe 3 or 4. That's it. Keep it going. I appreciate all you guys' support. I really do. It's always great seeing you guys. Tomorrow, I have my first, oh my God, I have my first open house for my kid before school starts next week. We'll have to see how that goes as far as videos go. So it might be another slow weekend. I'll try to get something out. I have something filmed for the Goddess. And you're going to be like, what? This looks different because I filmed it before I hung up the PRS display case. So I'll try and edit that tonight and have that for tomorrow. And then the next case for a guitar, I'm actually going to alter the topic on it. It was going to be for oddball guitars, but now I'm going to change that, modify it rather, to off-brands guitars. So brands like Reverend 77, Bacchus, Momose, all sorts of stuff, ESP, Harley Benton, whatever. Tom Anderson, LSL, Sir. We'll go in that direction instead. And why? Maybe it's not the best to buy from private equity owned companies. I love you guys. I will see you on the next